Coming up on Mountain News this morning, heavy rain swept throughout much of central and eastern Kentucky yesterday. We take a look at the damage as more storms are in the forecast. Primary Care in Hazard has made some big changes to its drive-through clinics, aiming to have even less people risking exposure to COVID-19. And with the state reopening in phases, ARH announced new visitation guidelines yesterday. We take a look at what that means for patients and their loved ones.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Katie Cook. It is Wednesday, May 20th, and the time is about 6 o'clock. Let's check in with Brandon Robinson for a look at your forecast this morning. Brandon, good morning to you and happy hump day. It looks like we have another rainy day on our hands, but thankfully that flood watch is out of part of our coverage area.
Katie, that's the big news of the morning, and good morning to you. We see that's been cut back out about half of the region there, going back toward I-75, which has been very hard hit last 48 hours, but we still have that in place from basically Moorhead all the way down into Floyd County and down to Perry County. So just keep that in mind. That goes through tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. So another day of severe weather alert day coverage in the books today, and then we'll probably have one more tomorrow before all this is said and done. Take a look up on top of Whitesburg Pine Mountain on US 119. Not a whole lot of rain up there just yet. That's trend has been moving eastward over the last day or two, and it's going to continue that trek east today. We're dry for now in most areas, but the rain will pick back up as temperatures stay cool this morning. They will struggle to get into the 60s later this afternoon, but the rain chances will pick back up, and they'll be heavy at times. It's something we have to keep a very close eye on. We'll talk more about that forecast in just a few minutes. Katie?
All right, Brandon, thank you. Emergency crews across Kentucky were busy all day yesterday dealing with high water problems. With more rain in the forecast, rescuers in Laurel County can only hope drivers steer clear of floodwaters, but they are still ready for the worst. WYMT's Tommy Poole has more.
Like many in the mountains Tuesday, Laurel County saw a lot of this.
A lot of rain, a lot of floods popping up, flash floods,
leaving a path of destruction and problems all throughout the day.
There was landslides all over the county, trees down.
With high water over some back roads.
You know, it happens every time it rains.
Stevens Towing and Campground Fire Department had to make a water rescue.
They go that route and they know the road. And it's an easy mistake to make, but when the water gets so high, you don't really realize the force of it.
Hearn says the depth of the water can be deceiving, and that is what gets people in trouble.
They think they can make it, and they end up getting halfway through and running off the edge of the road, or water starts coming in, or the motor sucks up water and ends up quitting on them.
15 inches of water, it can get up in your exhaust, and it could cause your motor to stall. And once your motor stalls, it causes your car to shut off, and that's where you get in trouble.
So, like first responders always say when flooding is possible, if you see this,
you're not trying to go through because it puts, your life in danger, then our life's in danger on trying to get it out.
Turn around, don't drown. In Laurel County, Tommy Poole, WYMT Mountain News.
And this is what it looked like in Powell County yesterday. The water even came close to the Mountain Parkway. Roads in Clay City that usually flood last were getting hit first. By around 10 a.m., crews closed multiple roads, most of them near the Red River. This tends to be the case with flooding throughout Powell County as the river spills out in its banks and onto nearby roads.
Anytime we see water come up in the eastern end of the county, we realize it's eventually going to make its way to the western end of the county. The more flood-prone areas of Clay City usually receive it 24 hours or so after the fact.
As of right now, crews said there have not been any water rescues. They say most people seem to be taking proper precautions. Flooding swamped cars and prompted water rescues in Jackson County yesterday, though, as streams and rivers overflowed. WYMT's Connor James drove through the county earlier and talked with people about the damage.
Tuesday morning, this was a sight becoming more common. Streets and roads in Jackson County saw similar situations.
I know we was expecting quite a bit of rain, but I don't think anybody expected it to be like this.
Judge Executive Shane Gabbard says county crews and others here have been busy. Heavy rain downed trees, knocked out power, and prompted water rescues.
We could have lost a couple of people here today if situation had went the other direction.
Here at this church and thrift shop, the flooding looks bad, but the damage thankfully isn't.
No water's gotten into any of the church or our apartment or the attic. It's all been exterior.
We talked to Becky and Harold Nixon during a break in the storm. They have lived here for a little less than a year as pastoral associates at St. Paul's Catholic Mission in McKee.
We were going to open up.
We were planning on reopening tomorrow. That has been postponed till next week.
Their thrift store surrounded by water, the parking lot submerged, but on the bright side, they say the water Tuesday afternoon did seem to be going down.
I mean, it's just, we've got a forecast for rain all week, so I'm just really thankful the water's going down right now because it'll probably come up a little bit more.
As many here are just hoping it continues to recede. In Jackson County, Connor James, WYMT Mountain News.
Now crews are out and about in the county monitoring any high water situations. They add to not drive through high waters, turn around, and don't drown. In central Kentucky, Montgomery County received around 5 inches of rain. Rescue crews there say several roads are flooded and they've been called to rescue drivers stuck in high water. Luckily, no injuries have been reported. Meanwhile, in central Kentucky, major flooding is expected in parts of Cynthiana. Officials said last night that people living in low-lying areas near the river should leave before it's too late. The attitude there is somber, with many expecting to lose a lot to high water. The mayor has declared a state of emergency, and some say they are acting fast to try to come up with plans.
When I woke up this morning, I knew the water was up a little bit, but I never dreamed that it was going to be putting me out of my house.
Just to help you understand, our sister station has seen neighbors stuffing vehicles with as much as they can. Many of them are trying to find somewhere to stay. Governor Andy Beshear struck a somber tone during his COVID-19 update last night. He announced 164 new cases and 20 new deaths. That's the highest one-day death toll since the virus was first reported in Kentucky. The Commonwealth now has 8,069 cases and 366 deaths. More than 2,800 people have recovered. And primary care in Hazard made some big changes to its drive-through clinic this past weekend. With the addition of 2 trailers, most patients will never have to step foot inside the clinic. WYMT's Emily Bennett has more on the changes.
For a couple months, tents have filled primary care's parking lot, giving patients the option to be seen in a drive-through.
The patients are appreciative of the efforts that are being made for us to be able to take care of them in this way.
But now they combined some of the tents and added parking areas under cover.
It's really helped as far as the overall patient care and streamlining the process.
2 trailers now sit in the middle of the tents, offering exam rooms outside the clinic.
It's where we're able to get the screenings done. We can actually provide the lab work, a full complement of lab work.
This allows primary care to do almost everything except x-rays and ultrasounds without patients stepping foot inside the clinic.
We can do minor procedures. We can actually give the injections. We're able to do some maybe eye exams, things like that in a more controlled environment.
The new setup also helping nurses and patients in bad weather.
Whether it's raining, whether it's snowing, whether the sun's out, we can still come out and see them and be able to kind of have that protection from the weather.
Giving primary care the ability to make their drive-through a long-term option. In Hazard, Emily Bennett, WYMT Mountain News.
Fugit did say primary care will be offering COVID-19 antibody testing in the future. They are currently doing research to find the most accurate test. The drive-thru is open every day and the hours are on our website, WYMT.com. Well, COVID-19 testing will begin today at the Pineville Community Health Center from 11 until 5. This testing is by appointment only, but you can be tested without symptoms. After today, testing will be available Mondays and Fridays from 11 to 5 and Saturdays from 10 to 2. We talked with the CEO of the health center yesterday about the new testing.
And we didn't want to wait too long, especially now that Bell County has its first positive case. So we are kicking it off tomorrow. And so far we've got 12 patients that have scheduled for tomorrow. We have another 8 on Friday and 2 on Saturday.
The phone number to schedule an appointment is 606-654-4693. With the state reopening in phases, ARH announced new visitation guidelines yesterday. They will now allow one person to visit a patient at a time, and that visitor will also undergo a new series of procedures, a temperature check, screened for COVID-19 symptoms, and they must wear a mask. While some may say these new restrictions seem harsh, ARH Chief Medical Officer Dr. Maria Brahman says they are necessary.
We have to take into consideration not only the patient, who we have to limit exposure to possible COVID-19. We have to also be concerned for our staff, as well as all of our community members. And we are still in the midst of a pandemic.
There are also new visitation hours and other restrictions on who can be a visitor.
6:10 on this Wednesday morning, and we're seeing a little bit of patchy dense fog out there. Not a whole lot of issues. Just kind of keep that in mind as you head out this morning. And take it slow. Temperatures bundle up just a little bit. It's in the 40s and 50s this morning. Pikeville now down to 49, too, along with Prestonsburg 48, Logan 46, and Wise. Everybody else in the 50s this morning, low to mid 50s. It's a little colder than it was this time yesterday morning. Anywhere from 2 to 14 degrees colder the further east you get. Headlines today, that flash flood watch continues for some until tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Soggy trend for the next day or so, and then maybe some relief as we head toward the weekend. Katie.
All right. Thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way next. Kentucky is not the only area hard hit by severe weather this week. People in Michigan were told to leave their homes as two nearby dams threatened to fail.